Well,
Okay,
all right.
Liana, you're up.
All right, let's hope I can do this in 30 minutes. So very nice to meet everyone. I'm not sure of everyone's backgrounds and what your interests are, but my name is Liana Delucca Johnson. I'm an equipment designer, product designer from Art Center. I graduated from Art Center and before that UC Davis, but I also started my own consultancy and my own brand. So it's really good to be here, and I'm just going to share my journey. And if you guys have any questions along the way, let me know. So one of the first things I wanted to say about starting your journey in industrial design is embrace your talents and do what you love. So when I first started, not knowing what I wanted to do, I was always artistic, starting off elementary school and whatnot, and always drawing and painting. I enjoyed pumpkin carving. I was a 3-sport athlete. I enjoy athletics and running and all sorts of sports and things like that. But I thought that I wanted to be a doctor. So
what high school did you go to?
Wilsey Wood in Vacaville.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, so I wanted to share one of the first things I learned, that it's never too late to change the direction that you're on. If you're along the wrong path, it's okay to change, and major changes can be good. It was good for me. I started my career or my education at UC Davis. I entered as a bio-sci major, and UC Davis is a great school. I really enjoyed the campus, and it was great to go. I had got good grades in high school, so I was like, yay, gung-ho, I'm going to be a doctor. But I was hating my classes. And so hating my classes, I went back to the things that I loved, and I entered into a drawing and painting class. And a lot of the other students were wondering where I came from because they hadn't seen me before. And I said, oh yeah, I'm a bio-sci major. And they said, what are you doing in bio-sci? You need to be with us here. You have some talents. And I was like, well, no offense, guys, I don't want to be a starving artist. And they said, well, what about design? And I had no clue what design was. I was one of those people who kind of took it for granted. And then had the guts to eventually change my major and learn about Art Center, and the rest is history. So then after learning about Art Center, I decided to finish at UC Davis, graduated there with BS in economics and also design, and minored in Spanish. So I decided to finish off my education there. But later on, decided I wanted to hone my craft and learn more skills, and enrolled and got into Art Center. And Art Center was an awesome experience. I got to really understand model making, presenting, being with other people that were a lot better than me in other ways. I mean, we all have our talents, but if you're around people that are a lot better than you at drawing, and you're next to them and you can ask them questions, you eventually end up becoming better yourself. I think that's the same way with other things in sports and whatnot. So it was a really great experience, and I don't regret it at all. I think it was an awesome experience. Another thing I'd like to express is that all experts were once a beginner at something, and internships are a great experience as well. So one of my internship that I got to do was at a consultancy called RKS Design. And there I got to do Coca-Cola vending machines. It was like your run-of-the-mill consultancy where you had to do a lot of hard products. Faucets, sketching for faucets, interfaces for faucets, things like that. Another thing that they had there, which was really interesting, that I got a little bit taste of, is the psychoaesthetics map on there in the right-hand corner. They like to graphically put product design on a map, and you can kind of, with Maslow's experience, where you have essential to dynamic, and so you can kind of rate the design along the path and kind of understand where the design is that you are going for is what it's going to achieve with what space is there missing a design. So you have a very basic essential to a very high level designed product. So it's kind of an interesting thing to learn along the way. Another thing I learned is to get your foot in the door. Getting your foot in the door and getting experience is the key. I learned that first when I graduated Art Center. I was all good to go. I had all these degrees and I was ready to work. but there were no jobs when I graduated, and I ended up actually marrying my college sweetheart and moving back to the Bay Area. So my whole network at Art Center was gone. And I was looking for a job in the Bay Area, could not find a job. I was interviewing in the Midwest. I was interviewing everywhere, and could not get my foot in the door. So it happened to be the holiday season. I knew that Williams-Sonoma Incorporated was in San Francisco. So I said, hey, why don't I work holiday retail for a little bit, and maybe they'll appreciate that experience, and I'll get to know people and perhaps get my foot in the door at headquarters. So that's what I did. I actually went to work at Pottery Barn Retail in Emeryville, and it's exactly what happened. Corporate people would come in, I would meet them, and I would talk to them and say, hey, I'm a designer, I'm anxious to get in. And eventually I got my foot in the door at Williams-Sonoma Incorporated with Pottery Barn Kids as a color designer. I got to help create their color department, which is getting to know all about color. I had a really good eye for color at the time, and it was a great experience to learn about color and how important it is across all of the different categories that they had. The color, for example, that pink had to match across all 3, 4, or 5 different products that they had. So it had to be right. It also had to be cohesive. So it was a great learning experience. And even though it was exactly what I didn't want to be doing, I met a lot of people, and it led me to my next job, because I was telling people that I was meeting along the way what I wanted to do, and I wanted to be a product designer. It was great to do the color. They wanted me to work there and move up, but I said, no, I want to be a product designer. So talking to people, they said, hey, well, Camelback is looking for people, so why don't you try to get in there? So I actually ended up interviewing for that job and ended up getting that position. That was my really first introductory into the outdoor industry. And I got to really hone my skills and got to do water bottles, and actually introduced into pack design, and got to learn from all their team there. It was a very small team over in Petaluma, and they're still in Petaluma. And I still work for them today. I'll talk about that later, but got to really work on all sorts of different products, from the women's mule to military products, SWAT team, plastics. And they really, one of the things that they liked about me was that I did have that color experience. So I got to work on their colors as well. So it's one of those things that one thing leads to another. But after 3 years, it was time to learn new things. I was getting tired of hydration. And so I ended up starting to look outside, to kind of get outside my comfort zone there, because it was a good experience, but it was time to learn new things. And so then that's when I was able to get a job with the North Face, which at the time they were in San Leandro. They have since moved to Denver, but I was there for about almost 7 years. And that was an amazing experience. The thing about the North Face is that when you're on the team, the equipment design team, RD&D, you get to do expeditions. We got to travel with Camelback as well, but there was a lot more traveling involved with actually testing a lot more of the product in use. I got to do my first backpacking trip. It was quite an experience. We did several trips. You go with trips with athletes, experience new foods. I got to do all sorts of different products there. That's us developing product on the right in Vietnam, developing backpacks, and then having fun. Also got to really hone my skills in women's ergonomics and study that with measuring. You can see me on the left measuring spines. But I got to do a wide assortment of different products there. 2 great projects that I also got to work on were the UTMB product, which I worked specifically with athletes that were running the UTMB. The UTMB is a race in Mont Blanc, France. Got to visit there and actually go follow the athletes and crew with the athletes, which was an amazing experience. Got to develop a fabric with a material developer. Had to be super ultra lightweight, because these racers scrutinize every gram that they're carrying over 100 miles through 3 countries. So they really scrutinize every single thing they're wearing. And so that was an amazing experience that I still have value today. Another great experience was the Sochi Olympics project, which was a cross collaborative project within apparel, graphics. We got to work with several different teams within the North Face, applying graphics and really working together as a team to create a cohesive group of products there. We also did, I also got to do all sorts of different products between hats and, other more hydration packs, which was, a different perspective to do that were non-Camelback products, women's backpacks. I mean, every sort of different product you could think of, base camp duffels. They had a ton of different products. I got to do a little bit of 3D modeling. So it was a really thorough, great experience. I wanted to take you through a project just so you guys can get a little bit of a glimpse inside of start to finish. So on the top left corner, you can see when you first get a project brief, this is going to be this was a brief for a backpack that had to be in the line with some luggage that we had. That was the Rolling Thunder. So what the product managers will do is they'll give you kind of the competitive map of what different packs are in this space, what price it has to be, the types of features that it needs. And then you'll start to maybe then talk to a focus group. This is a picture of a focus group that we did to talk to different people and how they're using the bag, get any insights that you can, gathering information. Then what we'll do is do a user profile in the bottom left-hand corner, and you kind of put images, lots of images, kind of like a brain dump of images of single thing you think that these people will carry, the environments that they're going to be in, just to kind of give you a little bit of inspiration about what you're going to be building. And then on the bottom right-hand corner are different details that will need to line up with the Rolling Thunder luggage. So I wanted to make sure that we keep those in the line as well. So then we'll do a visual product map is what we like to call it. And you kind of call out different features that it needs to have. Like, for example, it needs to have a quick access stash pocket, a main compartment, a cushy handle, an ID compartment, vented straps, overflow, front organization. It has to lay flat, different things like that. You want to make sure and kind of draw it so that you can kind of visually see what the product manager is looking for. And then the fun part is trying to sketch different ideas, have it line up with the Rolling Thunder, different visual cues that the Rolling Thunder would have. Start to go into the specification package. And this is more of a final specification package. There's several rounds of specification packages that you will do. So this one looks pretty clean. And you'll get several samples and things like that in rounds, but this is more of the final package where you'll see on the top left-hand corner, that's drawn in Illustrator. It's a 3/4 view of a backpack. And then you'll have the side views, because these side views are, there's different pockets on each side. You'll have the internal organization. You'll have you have to do exploded views of everything so that the factory knows what they're building. In the center, you'll see that's kind of like the stretched out, it's on a lay flat TSA type of unzipped laptop pocket. And then the back panel, shoulder straps, and on the right is the finished product, is an example of the finished product. So you can see the 3/4 view kind of ended up being pretty close to the last, the real thing. So it's pretty cool. Really tough decision, but I loved the North Face. It was a great experience, almost 7 years. And at that time, I already had my family. I have 3 kids. I have a 10-year-old right now, and I have twins that are going to be 9 in a few weeks. So, but at that time, this was several years ago, it was time to, I was traveling a lot, and it was time to kind of balance my life a little bit more. So I decided to jump off the corporate ladder and start my own thing. And luckily enough, my old boss saw on LinkedIn that I was open again for work, and I got to work with Camelback again, but this time along my own terms. I was kind of like their external employee. I was already familiar with the brand, so it was a really easy integration. They're a totally different team, but got to do a lot of running products. They really liked my experience that I had with UTMB. with the North Face, and they were doing their own running products. And so I was able to work on that. And then along the lines, I also got to work with Cole Haan. That was a fun project working for that type of consumer. They take a lot of awesome pictures, and I got to go to New York and things like that. But all of this is as on my own, which is awesome experience to be able to work for these great companies, but do it on your own time and make your own flow. One of the things that I have always talked about doing was starting my own brand. And someone once told me the only way to get rid of the fear of doing something is to go out and just do it. And talk is cheap, and put your money where your mouth is. I had been talking about doing my own brand for so long. And I got together with another colleague of mine who used to work for the North Face, and we started a brand called Agency Aspect. On the left is kind of like a brand triangle where you kind of dissect what it is about your brand that you're trying to go for. And there's a lot of learnings in creating my own brand. I'm still doing it today. I have since bought her out, but still selling direct to consumer. But the journey of this learning it's been a lot of learning along the way, and just creating a brand. It's been an amazing experience. It's a ton of work, but just to give you a little bit of glimpse of starting the brand, I wanted to give you some snippets of that. So the brand itself is about women. It's about empowering powerful women with gear and apparel at the time, but we decided to just, with all the advice from other business folks, we decided just to do with bags. But really looking at the aesthetics of what a powerful woman is in the movies, in sci-fi. This is kind of like my NASA Femme type of inspiration board, to try to look at just the extreme of what types of details and features, how women are perceived. Taking it down to more of an aspirational, what this woman is like in the real world. These are types of images that you make a consumer profile. What is she drinking? What is she reading? Where is she traveling to? What does she aspire to be? More realistic here, who that woman consumer is. Is she traveling? What is she driving? Where does she shop? You kind of really want to try to get into the head of and the space of what this woman wants. These are different images of the starting of the brand. Different details, really honing in on the details, disruptive details. I wanted to go with like a functional feminine aesthetic. And what does that look like? Merging together fabrics that are luxurious but athletic as well, to kind of bring throughout my whole experience of that I've had along the way. Luxurious but really athletic back panels and textures. These are some of the initial sketches on the left, and different iterations of logos and trims and lab dips and other things that we had to move forward with. You know, you have to file for a business permit, you have to do your own labels, you have to make your own badges. Everything is all you. There's no other team doing this for you to make it happen. So you're making it happen on your own. These are some of the initial prototypes. The top, if you can believe it, the top center is an actual first proto. It's more of like a block. So that's kind of where we started, and you'll have to see where we ended up. But it's you kind of have to look through the ugly and keep moving forward to your aspiration of what you're looking to make. You try them on, you get samples, you iterate, you make comments, you're checking Pantones, making sure that the zipper is trying to match up with what you want it to match up with. You're checking metal, because we were integrated with metal buckles and webbings, and it's a lot of work. It's a lot to put into to make your own product. We decided to do a Kickstarter campaign, and for a Kickstarter campaign, you need a video. So we hired an amazing videographer and director, and she really helped us create what we wanted to create to hone in the story for the Kickstarter campaign. Her name is Claire Major. And this is a little bit of behind the scenes of the making of a video. You're kind of making like your own little mini video, it was a full day of prep work. And then we did a full day of filming. And here's a little background. I put a little insert of video there.
And now this is just the other shot of you as you're doing that motion. So from the beginning of pulling the mug down and then lifting up to 4.
And I think she did that maybe 10 times. So, and then I put inserted the video here. It's about 2 minutes long, but I'll cut it off at the end here. So this is the ending video.
I'm Liana Delucca Johnson.
And I'm Michelle Rose. We are the founders of Agency Aspect, a new brand of apparel and bags designed to free women up to be truly badass.
Michelle and I met while leading design teams at the North Face. Collectively, we have designed thousands of pieces of apparel and gear for major brands in the outdoor industry.
But even while working in the industry, we struggle to find style-conscious, high-performance, everyday clothing and bags that fit our bodies, our personalities, and our active lives.
Like many women, we grew tired of having to choose between fashion-forward luxury and sporty outdoor function.
We created Agency Aspect to bridge that gap, building beautiful gear for the modern woman that makes her feel confident and free. We'll be kicking off our journey with 2 unique and edgy bags, a hybrid crossbody and a hybrid messenger.
Both bags combine gorgeous supple leathers found in the most beautifully made handbags with technical Cordura fabrics known in the industry for extreme durability and strength.
We've selected anodized aircraft-grade aluminum hardware for lightweight strength and designed ergonomic shapes that conform to your body while keeping you hands-free. Ultimate performance with high-grade luxury.
Every last detail of these bags has been meticulously thought through, designed and tested, right down to the signature pop color lining so you can find your keys.
The messenger bag is the perfect size for work and commute. It has a padded back pocket that can fit a 15-inch laptop or a larger iPad Pro. The unique double front pocket has a magnet for quick access, plus a hidden zippered pocket.
The smaller crossbody is the perfect size for traveling or every day. A large back pocket fits a notebook or small tablet, and it has the same double front pocket.
So today we're asking you to back our campaign and help us get the word out.
By backing our first Kickstarter, you'll have access to our very first Agency Aspect collection.
And you'll be part of growing a new brand that empowers and inspires women to be badass.
Thank you for your support.
So we ended up being successful, and then you actually have to make the product now. And so I had already been to the factory. This is a factory in Vietnam called Pung Cook, and they're a very famous factory. They do products for Cole Haan, they do products for the North Face, outdoor industry, as well as luxury products. So they're actually the perfect factory to make this product for us. And I have a long history and relationship with them. And you can see on the right, it was a whole line of women. So that kind of is ironic, but it was awesome. And they were really gracious to take our small little company in and give us the opportunity to make our bags. And it was an awesome experience to actually foresee your production of your first run of your own brand. Here is in the center, she's sewing the bag. I have a little tiny video of that. And then the final product, which you saw in the video, it evolved a little bit. It got even better as we were able to get the final logo piece is a hardware piece in. You have to learn how to be your own photographer. All those three shoots at the top were all done by myself. And then we had an influencer graciously take our product, and she did her own photo shoot. She's a ballet dancer in San Francisco. So, you know, you get to meet a lot of amazing people and do all these things that you wouldn't normally do, I think, working for just a brand. So it's been an awesome journey, and I'm still learning a ton doing, being my own brand ambassador and selling and marketing and all the other departments. And the best reward is all the customers that you get, all the photographs and comments and commentary that they give you back of opinions, you know, good and bad. We've mostly luckily have got good feedback, but it's amazing to get all this response from people and how they're using your product, and it really hits close to home. So I just wanted to thank everyone. That's just a quick run through of just things that I've done in my career. And if you guys have any questions, feel free to reach out. And I'm looking forward to teaching DVC. It's going to be a new adventure for me, and I'm looking forward to it.
All right, bravissimo. Very good. Yeah, that was awesome.
Thanks.
Thank you. So if I know everybody's kind of quiet there, but would you mind if we just had some questions? Are you?
Go for it, please.
All right. So I'd like to
Stop
open.
sharing.
No, you're good. Whatever you want to do is fine. So let's get some questions from the class. Rachel, Yava, you do two at first, or anybody, of course, have some questions. George, it looks like you have muted yourself.
Yeah, I mean, I connected a lot with, obviously, I mean, I think probably we all did connect a lot with your the earlier parts of your presentation where you were talking about your early days in college and sort of trying to find your trajectory. Do you remember, I think you spoke a little bit about, you know, finding people who were good at things that you were not good at, or learning how to, you know, grow your own skills, maybe not necessarily just through class. Do you remember specifically some things that you maybe did back in the day proactively yourself to try and improve your skills as an eventual designer?
So definitely at art, I mean, there are several different answers to this. So I was hating my classes at Davis. Well, not all of them, I can't say that, but the experience at Davis was great, but I wasn't really connecting with my career path at that time. And so going back to what I was really good at and what I was really passionate about was the art side of myself, and actually going into that class and always wanting to get better at it, but just being a little bit fearful of just, am I good enough? Are my skills good enough? So you take these classes and you go meet other people, and you get a little bit of feedback, you know, from people, and you say, okay, well, if you look at what they're doing and you really notice, oh, hey, I really like the way you're drawing that, or can you teach me how to do that? You just talk to people and you ask them, and you get feedback as well. Oh, I really like your idea on how you did this, and that you had a really good idea. So you open up the dialogue, I think, with people. And I think the more you're willing to share about yourself, I think the more people are willing to share with you as well. I also, talking to instructors, the only way I knew about Art Center was really getting to know one of my instructors at Davis, and his son actually happened to be going to Art Center in graphics. And he showed me a catalog, a paper catalog of Art Center. And that's where I was like, oh, I'm really curious about this. I really need to go visit the school. So I went to go visit the school. I drove up to Pasadena, drove up and loved the gallery. And then you talk to more and more people. So I think you just have to be willing to take the leap and talk to people, I think, about what you really want and what you're really good at.
Okay. That's good advice. Appreciate it.
Other questions? I love that your Kickstarter bag, by the way. Yeah, I think it's unique too. I mean, it serves all the functions, but it has a great aesthetic appearance to it.
Thank you.
Yeah. Other questions from the group?
Uh,
First of all,
yes, I've seen your bags. They were very original and iconic. Did you have any problems with protecting your intellectual property?
That's a great question. Luckily, we haven't had any problems there, but it's very possible that people or other companies can copy the product, because it's not like you can try to patent the design itself, but even companies like the North Face, they don't, there's been a blatant copy of the Basecamp duffel, and they haven't even gone after it. It's kind of like you have to let those companies do what they do, and people are going to fall in love with the brand for what it is. I think we're so tiny anyways that we haven't had that much exposure, but it's very quite possible someone could copy. I have, however, trademarked, I'm in the process again of registering the trademark of the brand itself, as well as the logo. So I did pay for that.
How hard was that?
It's not hard, it's just time consuming. I hired a lawyer to help me out. You can do it yourself. But just because I bought out my partner and some of the things that I was having to deal with at the time, I decided to go ahead and hire a professional to get it done quickly and not have to take the time to really learn all the different details, because I wanted to, I had never trademarked the logo itself at that time yet. It was just the name. So I did, it's not hard. It just either it costs you a couple $1,000 or you got to take the time to really research on the trademark website, US patent trademark website. They have all the steps that you do. So it's really interesting to dig in there if you have something that you want to patent. But I do know people that have patented things in the past. So it's not hard. It's just time consuming.
Thank you very much.
Sure.
okay. Did anybody want to, I know, so Liana, it's all great. We usually end about 5, so, but I'd love for people, we don't get that many guest speakers. Go ahead.
I have another
George?
question. I was just waiting for if somebody else wanted to pipe up before I did, but I do have
Go
another
ahead.
question. Is it possible to ask still?
Go ahead, please.
You said, or at some point you were mentioning that like you had to sort of get off the corporate ladder after 7 years at North Face. I mean, since you stayed there for 7 years, I'm assuming that you liked a lot of that culture or like that experience of working in a corporate environment. And maybe it was just you wanting to start your own company, but was there anything else that sort of like drove you away from that environment or that culture?
I would say, yes, I really loved the experience. I was there. I grew from being a designer to a senior designer. And then the next step from senior designer is being the design manager of the whole equipment group. So for me and my passions, I wasn't passionate enough to take on tents and sleeping bags and technical backpacks, and you have to take on every single category that they have in equipment. So for me, I had kind of outgrown it in a way. I was ready for new experiences and being my own boss. So for that part, I was ready to move on. And then also I was traveling a lot and I had 3 small kids and I was ready to kind of be managing my own time. And that just was not going to be possible with the career that I had there and then just doing the marathon. It has to be worth it to do the marathon. And if it's not worth it, I kind of started to doing the same things over and over again. And it's like, okay, time to learn new things and be my own. So at the time,
Rachel,
that was, but it was
Rachel,
a great experience.
Rachel, did you have a question? I see you there.
Just so when you were let me try and articulate my thoughts. When you were in your medical classes and you switched over to the art classes, like, was there a part of you that hesitated, or were you like, yeah, no, this is what I want to do, immediate switch?
I I definitely, after I took, so when I was in the art classes and I was getting a lot of other students say, hey, what are you doing? Why are you in biosci? I was like, oh, I don't want to be a starving artist. And it's so funny to me now. I'm like, I can't even believe I didn't know about design, but they said, oh no, UC Davis has a design program. You should go check into it and learn about the differences and all of that. And I said, oh, okay, sure. And so I took an introductory class to design, and it literally, I could feel it inside myself. It's one of those cheesy things that you kind of know it's the right thing. Did I hesitate a little bit? But they make it so hard to change your major that you really have to be sure that that's what you want to do, because you have to get the signatures from that college to transfer to the other college, which is within the campus itself. And my parents were helping me at the time, that's with college as well. So there was a financial aspect to it, but I was really sure about what I wanted to do. And then I was smart about it by also balancing it with the business aspect of it as well. So I was able to take the managerial economics and double major. So I was balanced about it. But as soon as I started changing my path, my grades started improving. My, just overall, my attitude was just better. So it was the right move for me. It's scary, but you got to go with your gut.
One last question. How much did your artistic talent got you through the profession of industrial design?
That's a good question. It's actually I would say what I really like about industrial design and specifically, is that it's a really great balance of left and right brain. You're problem solving, and you're also, the artistic talent is more from communication to express your ideas. The better you are, and it's a skill that you can learn. I was not as good of a sketcher as I am now. Back then, I was really nervous about it. I didn't want to show my sketches as much. Yeah, I could draw something by looking at it, but when you're drawing something that you've never really even imagined before, and it's just about putting shapes together and learning and just over and over again. There's so many books. I had a teacher at Art Center who was an amazing technical artist and you used to sketch on the chalkboard, and we just all would be amazed because he'd just draw on the chalkboard, and he's like, when I first started, I was terrible. And we're like, there's no way, you're so good. And he said, no, it was practicing every single day. There's books. You start off with spheres, you start off with cones, and you just practice. And you end up getting better. You just get better and better and better. And there's so much available today. Video.
So Liana, we're going to try to get Liana, if she's open to it, to teach our new digital drawing class on the Wacom tablets that we have.
I would love to. One of my favorite tools is my Wacom.
Yeah.
I invested in the big guy, the big screen, and
we've got 30 of them sitting in a lab all by themselves.
I can't wait to go and visit.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, drawing is a skill. But for industrial design, you also need the problem solving, the mechanical part of it as well. And that's what I really enjoyed about it, that it was about design. It's problem solving with art merged together. And I feel like I got that from, part of my dad. My dad's a retired airline pilot. And so I think I was always into, whenever he was fixing something, I was always involved and interested. And then my mom is more of the artistic. So I think that's where I get mine from. But yeah, it's practice. It's all about practice.
Ellen, did you have a
With
question?
language, it's the same thing with anything, right?
Thank you.
Yeah.
I kind of had a question, but I've been kind of trying to think of how I can put it clearly. So you'd be the third person, I guess, that's been in the industry of industrial design that we've had. We had Mr. Smith, and then we had another person who worked on a lot of different projects. And I'm getting a lot of different, I guess, perspectives on what industrial design really means to people, depending on what kind of profession, what kind of background they had, right?
Mhm.
So I guess what part of it is for the consumer on your designs and what part of it is for your own artistic expression is kind of my question on it.
Well, that's why I got to do my own brand, because I always wanted to merge the materials. I was always intrigued, it's a little frustrating because sometimes you want to push things more personally to what you aesthetically like versus what is right for the brand that you're working for. So I think it's a little bit of both, because you get hired for your brain and your creativity, and you're taking in the brand and you're trying to output it to what you think the brand wants. So if you're designing, like I wasn't into running as much as I am now, but after really following athletes and really understanding the sport and little intricacies of what they love about it, and you learn and learn and learn, and you grow with that, and you understand what the outlook of what the brand wants. So one of the things I would say, if you really hate the brand, don't go work for them, because it's going to show through in your work. If you really love the brand and you're really passionate about it, then it will also show through your work. So I think it's a little bit of both. It's a little flavor of what you have. I think some people I had some old design directors that used to tell me, like, oh, I could tell you design this, or I could tell you design that. You can have your little flair on it always. And it's just a matter of aesthetic, and it's a matter of putting in the brand and then your talents together. And then as you grow in the industry and you learn and you learn, I used to get frustrated when I first started for Camelback that my samples wouldn't turn out to be, after the first sketch, like the other designers. And they said, you have to wait to see how you learn how to draw things so that the factory interprets them and understands how to make things. And the factory that I work with, for example, for my brand, they had been working with me for all the years of the North Face and beyond. So they really understand. I have someone that I work with there that I could sketch something and she really understands how to make it or how to get it made. So it's kind of like you learn along the way and you grow, and it's a long answer to your question, but I hope I answered it.
Yeah, I'm sorry. It's kind of a complicated question, right?
Yeah, cool. No, it's a little bit when you're first starting out, you're like, oh, wait.
Well, my concern is, like, I'm worried that it's going to be too much of like consumer studies, and this is exactly what consumer wants. So, you're kind of working towards achieving how you can get the high sales.
Yeah,
Right.
no, and some part it gets frustrating like that, but I would say try to merge it with what you're passionate about. I've been lucky enough to be able to work with brands that I'm interested in sports, I'm interested in outdoor activities, so that helps. Versus if you work for a brand that you could care less about and you're making some widget, then you're not as passionate, you're not as into it. But you do get jobs that you're just doing it for the job, and there's other jobs that you can it's more passionate about. It just depends, I think, on the project itself. Are you sorry, Jeff, are all of your students thinking about industrial design, or are they all different? What's the background?
You're muted.
I'm gonna try my light.
Yeah. So, I mean, they're interested enough that they are taking this class as an intro class.
Oh, intro.
Yeah. So, I think they're learning about what product design, industrial design is, and if it's something they want to pursue. So I think they're, most of them appear to be very open to because it's so all encompassing. A lot of different niches. So, we're certainly hoping that we can keep this group to take the next level class with you, just so happens to be. I'm really, well, DVC wouldn't have hired you if they didn't think we're impressed by your skills. So we're very excited. But we've got to let these guys go because we're 20 minutes over and they've been very engaged in this, but I'm going to let them all run. So I did put your email, Liana, in the chat for them if they want to follow up with you. I want to encourage them to do so, and then take your class next semester, which is the IDSGN 121 class.
Awesome. Yeah, looking forward to it. And if there's any other questions I can help with.
Yeah. So, Liana, why don't you stick around? I'm going to dismiss everybody. A couple people had to peel off, but we'll see everybody on Wednesday's class. Okay. So